Hello there, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about megagames, particularly a game called Mirror State. Now, if you've not come across the term megagames before, you might not know what it means. So here's a quick summary of what a megagame actually is. Firstly, it's a live action game, which means it takes place in the real world, which means that you have to leave your house and go to somewhere to play it. You won't be alone, however. Usually there are up to 50, maybe more, people who are taking part in the game at the same time. The best way to think of it is that it's a board game that takes place with an awful lot of people playing at the same time. Not all these players are equal. Usually you've got a specialised role that allows you to do particular tasks or actions as the game progresses. There's often an element of role-playing to things as well, although this rarely means that you have to dress up in a fancy cloak and yell flipendo every 3 seconds. No, some players choose to get into character a little more than others, but that's entirely optional. If you want to turn up in jeans and a t-shirt or a full spacesuit, that's entirely up to you. Different megagames have slightly different ways of setting up. Some dial up the board game element a little bit more, some bring in some wargaming elements. Others amplify the role-playing side of things. You also get touches from video games going on in there, card games. Just about any type of game you can think of is often included as part of a megagame setup. As a regular player in a megagame, you'll usually act as part of a team. That team is often 4 players, but it can be as many as 20 or as few as 2. Some players act individually, having special character roles that allow them to interact with the game and other players in a slightly different way. Different player roles have different responsibilities and a different range of actions that they can conduct over the course of the day. The main thing to take away when it comes to a megagame is that no 2 megagames, even if it's the same one, are played the same way. So a subsequent play of Mirror State may result in an entirely different set of outcomes to ones that's been run before. Because the fundamental takeaway is that once the game is underway, it belongs to the players. The players shape the way that the story is conducted and how the game turns out. A typical megagame layout may look something like this. You'll have some kind of map table sitting around somewhere. You'll have individual team tables. You'll have somewhere where the people running the game are administrating it from. In almost every case, there will be a set of rules or a framework that the game operates under. But that's just the starting point. Where you take it from there comes down to your ability to negotiate with other players or other teams, with your own imagination and what isn't written in the rulebook. Pretty much if you can imagine it, you can make it happen within a certain framework. We don't tend to allow people to just take on too many flights of fancy, and we will rein them in if things go a little too far. By and large, however, you're in charge of what happens during your game. If you decide you want to collaborate with other teams in order to get a harmonious victory, so be it. If you decide you want to stab everybody else in the back and become the most despised team in the game, that's your choice. More often than not, it'll be a combination of the two that is your megagame experience. But as said before, no 2 experiences are exactly the same. Our latest game is called Mirror State Underground, and it takes place in the immediate aftermath of the zombie apocalypse. You and the other players are the last remaining survivors of the zombie apocalypse in London. Somehow you've managed to hide out in the London Underground. You've got your own underground train that you're using as a base of operations, but the power is out. You've got a group of survivors that you're trying to take care of and gather resources. Some of the teams have control over the power of the rail network so that other players can move around. Oh, and of course there are zombie hordes that may be roaming the area. The game takes place over 6 to 8 hours, which are set over 30-minute turns. Survivor group leaders are likely to be handling the relationships with other groups and setting the overall strategy for their own group's progress in the game. It's up to you whether, as a leader, you decide to dictate what should be taking place and how you should be handling survival, or whether you're going to do it with the other team members through debating the best course of action. The engineer of the survival group is the one member who understands how to actually move their train. Without an engineer, the survivor group is completely immobile. The primary responsibility of the engineer is to decide how and where to move the train during one of the phases each turn, if they can. The team scout is deployed every turn to stealthily explore areas of the map in the hope of finding something useful. The scout can choose to explore empty stations or one that is occupied by another group of survivors, to either spy on or steal resources from other areas of the map. Finally, each team includes a negotiator, who will best use their time by talking to other groups in order to better achieve the group's goals. Striking deals, trading information, spreading gossip, seeding paranoia, whatever it takes to achieve success. It's dangerous out there, and you're going to have to keep your wits about you not only to do well, but firstly, to survive. At the end of the day, and no, that's not a metaphor, we mean around 4:30 on the day itself, we gather round to see what's happened. Every team's involvement is highlighted in a positive way that's usually quite funny, and always eye-opening. So you were the team that did that? Okay, fair enough. Afterwards it can be even more social, as people tend to swap war stories from the day. We usually go out for a drink or two, although that's entirely optional. If you've never been to a mega game before, it can appear to be a little bit intimidating. It's not really. To get the most out of the game, all you really need to do is be able to talk to other people. Learn what's happening and consider what it is that you want to achieve. Try striking up a deal with someone. Your player character may possess something of great value to them, and vice versa. One of the best things about mega games is that players create a lot of the game's fiction as the game progresses. We simply give you a playground and a ball to play with. Mega games tend to be quite fast-paced, and if you don't know what you're doing, sometimes you can feel a bit out of your depth. For that reason, we always have a team of moderators who are around to help. It's their responsibility to ensure that you have a good game. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll win, but we want to make sure that you enjoy it. The moderator team tend to know pretty much everything that's going on at a given moment, so if you're stuck or if you're out of ideas, we can usually give you a point in the right direction, or perhaps even slip you some tasty information. We're good like that. Rarely is there a team backed into a corner that we can't help get you out of. Mega games are one of the most memorable ways to play anything. They move at a blistering pace for their duration, and it can feel like you're being left behind. You're not. There are plots, there are subplots, side plots, and plots within plots taking place constantly. I hope you like plots. You won't be involved in all of them, far from it, but you'll be right at the heart of your own story. When the game is done, the first people who want to hear your story are the other players, because more often than not, so many different things took place over the course of the game that not everybody is aware of all of it. If you're interested in learning more about Mirror State, you can find a link to the website below. If you'd like to get a better idea of what a mega game actually looks like to play, I've also included a link to Shut Up and Sit Down's video of the game Watch the Skies. If you'd like to come and play the game, we're running it 7 times this year. If you don't know if the game is for you or not, but kind of fancy it, we do offer a full money-back guarantee. So once you've got your ticket, you can come along and play, and if you didn't enjoy it, you can get your money back afterwards. Our goal is to make sure that you have an absolutely top-notch game, but we accept that sometimes people feel a little bit left out, and that's the last thing that we want. If you've got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Obviously, I'm the co-designer of this game, and I'll be there on the day to actually help run the thing. Tickets are available right now, and you can find them via mirrorstate.com. If you're outside the UK and go, well, I'm not going to pay for a flight to go and play this thing, there are other mega games available. You can find a broad selection available on the Megagames subreddit or over at the Mega Game Makers Facebook group. Again, I've left links to both of them in the description. Yes, this is a bit of an advertorial, isn't it? But that's okay. Once in a while, I like to let you in on other things that I'm up to. Right, that's about your lot. Cheerio!